Try not to panic. Take deep breaths. Yes, Byron Buxton was carted off of Target Field. He appeared to suffer some kind of a left leg injury during a scrimmage Monday evening. However, the Twins are cautiously optimistic at this time. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't still take a look at the depth chart. Let's get right into it. So let's go position by position as I see things. I think it's worth taking stock in everything. This depth chart is essentially if everyone was healthy. So behind the plate, obviously Mitch Garver, one of the best catchers in baseball. His backup, in case you forgot, Alex Avila, a longtime AL Central nemesis, is now on the Twins. And then the emergency guy, I think, is Willians Astudillo still. He's the guy in the 40-man roster. He's the guy who is most familiar with his pitching staff beyond those two. However, at some point, Ryan Jeffers would factor in. Yes, Tomas Tellez and Juan Graterol have Major League experience, but if there's regular at-bats available at some point, Ryan Jeffers might get a look. A big-time prospect there. At first base, Miguel Sano. He's a giant question mark for our opening day, which is right around the corner. Still recovering from COVID-19. I'm not sure how up to speed the Twins expect him to get before activating him. However, if he's out, Marwin Gonzalez, who, as you'll see as we go through the depth chart, is just kind of the de facto 10th man at a lot of different spots, but he would be the next guy. And then if those two became unavailable for some reason, if Sano's out and Marwin is needed elsewhere, I do think that would create enough opportunity for Alex Kirilloff to get regular at-bats. You may think of him more of an outfielder. He's played more outfield in the minor leagues, but last year he did play quite a bit of first base. Also factoring into that equation would be Xander Wheel and Brent Rooker. Rooker mostly played outfield last year, but he has infield experience. But Lamont Wade Jr. has some first base experience in his background, and I know Nelson Cruz was taking some first base practice during a scrimmage. Maybe don't read too much into that, but first base is a wild card. Who knows? Second base, obviously Luis Arraez is the starter. You'll see between second, third, and shortstop, I have some combination of Adrianza and Marwin Gonzalez as the back of an emergency. I kind of like A-Ray a little bit better in the middle and Marwin at third base. Speaking of third base, Josh Donaldson, clearly the starter there. Shortstop, Jorge Polanco, clearly the starter there. But there's a lot going on beyond those options that we have listed here. And yes, Marwin Gonzalez, you may think, what, he's the third shortstop? Yeah, Marwin Gonzalez actually, he only played shortstop one game for the Twins last year, but that's mainly how healthy Jorge Polanco was. Marwin's most played position in his major league career is actually shortstop. So he's definitely going to keep him listed there. But Nick Gordon factors into this infield equation. Travis Blankenhorn factors into this infield equation. Wilfredo Tovar might be the best defensive shortstop in the entire system. Royce Lewis could, again, kind of in that same discussion as Alex Kirilloff and Ryan Jeffers. If there's enough regular playing time, Royce Lewis could factor in at shortstop, third base, or center field. He's played all those spots. It just is a sort of a question of where the opportunities are going to come. Is there a scenario in which I could see Miguel Sano playing third base? Personally, no. It would take a lot because if Josh Donaldson were to go down, I think the Twins would rather have Marwin at third and Miguel stay at first, etc. So it would take a lot for us to see Sano, if healthy, back at third base, even assuming that. Moving in to the outfield picture, Byron Buxton, that's the big question. Well, the thing is, we know how this would happen if he's out, because we've had the benefit, basically, I guess is a positive way of putting it, of seeing what happens when Byron's out. Max Kepler is going to be the guy. He's started over 90 games at center field the past 2 seasons. Jake Cave, I don't like him nearly as much there defensively, but I would put him as the third guy. But if we're talking about just the next guy in terms of defensive value, Gilberto Celestino would be the guy, and he's on the 40-man. However, the highest he's been in the minors is high A. So he'd be a guy that you'd kind of put out there and just have him catch the ball and not really expect anything offensively, given that he'd be so overmatched more than likely. Corner outfield, I'm going to lump together because it's such a fluid situation. Obviously, Max Kepler would start in right, Eddie Rosario in left under normal circumstances. However, when Kepler moved to center, Eddie Rosario did play in right field quite a bit, mainly at the start because Luis Arraez was playing left field. However, as Nick Nelson, my Twins Daily colleague, pointed out, Eddie Rosario did start all 3 games of the ALDS in right field with either Marwin or Jake Cave playing left field. And those two, Marwin and Cave, would be the backups. And then the emergency guys, Lamont Wade Jr., who I like quite a bit. Great plate discipline. I just think he would be an interesting guy to put into this lineup and just make it hell on pitchers. So many good bats in this lineup, and then to have to finish the lineup off with a guy like Lamont Wade, who has unbelievable plate discipline. You're going to get good at bats out of him. Maybe not big production, but good at bats. And then Brent Rooker, I do think he has a leg up on some of the other guys like Alex Kirilloff, Trevor Larnach in terms of the prospects. I think he kind of deserves the next shot. Not anything to write home about defensively by any means, but a big bat can do some damage. At DH, Nelson Cruz, Marwin Gonzalez, again, the de facto 10th guy. I think Mitch Garver, if something were to happen to Cruz, Mitch Garver hopefully could DH a good amount of the time. Beyond those 3, again, Brent Rooker, I think if you're looking for a bat specific and you're just in need of a bat, if you get to this far down the depth chart, I do think Brent Rooker probably is the next guy after that.